Hey guys, today I'm going to show you the ZZ clippings that I did that I am going to transplant because they've already grown some roots. So that's what it is. And I got like a cup here, and these are the things that I use to propagate, because I'm also going to try and propagate today. The bad part about this is that I did record it and something happened and I lost all my footage. So that was unfortunate because I was actually going to document that. So I'll just do a really quick once over with this one. So this one, I put it in the sponge. I will like link it down below. I'm not really completely sure what it's called, but it's a sponge that I purchased for my Park Seed biodome. And I wasn't really sure if it was going to work or not, because this is the first time I've ever tried to propagate a ZZ clipping. I've seen a lot of videos on how people did it, and it's very, very easy. This is the second plant that I've ever tried to propagate. The first one was a jade. And so now what I want to do is just take it off as much as I can. Just like that. Try not to, rip any roots. And this has been, let's see, I would say just a couple of days shy of 3 months. So it's been 3 months, maybe in 2 days or 3 days, something like that. And this is how the root system is, if you could see that right there. I want to make sure you guys can see it. So that's how the root system look like. It's pretty decent now, and the weird thing is, because I didn't do it in water propagation, I didn't really have a good experience with water propagation. I tried it with ZZ, and there's something I didn't do anything right. I think not doing water and just straight either sponge or soil is best suited for me. The other plant that I've been very successful in regards to propagation directly to soil and never in water was jade. So I'm just gonna stick to that. It's just easiest for me. Some people make it look really easy to do the water propagation for them. That's them, that's not me. So for my advice, if you wanna propagate, I would suggest do what would be comfortable for you. There are different types, different ways to do it. Obviously, one of them would be like soil. And another one would be the sponge that I used. I would say, soil is actually better access, so just do that. When I did clip these beautiful bubbles, that's what I kind of call them, like pillow bubbles. They were not, I don't know what the technical term is. They were not there. These were just stems. And I just shoved them in these sponges, and 3 months later, what I actually did was I put them in a cup like this, and I also put them in a grower pot like this and put them in a cup like that. So there was always a little bit of moisture in there. And after I clipped them, I dipped them in this Hormex for 5 minutes. After that, I dipped them in the root powder, and I put them in the sponge. So what I'm gonna do today is I will clip the few more of my ZZ, my mother plant of ZZ. What I will do is do that, and I will propagate again so you guys can see it. But for this one, I need to transplant them, and I'm gonna decide in this size. And the reason for that is a smaller pot is easier to maneuver and easier to take care of than a bigger pot. That's from my experience, and I prefer to do that because it's easier to really overwater a plant, especially when something like this kind of shallow root system, when you have such a big pot to put them in. So that's what I'm trying to do. And of course, I have a catch tray or a saucer, depending on how you guys call it. And that's just what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna fill a little, like some soil in here. I already have a screen underneath just so the soil doesn't go through as much. I know a lot of people have questions and things like that. That was actually my husband's idea. We used to use something else and I forgot what it was. It's been a while. And I would suggest you kind of just put a little bit of hole in there. Don't shove it directly too hard, just because that's what I would prefer. You know, it's a baby root system. It's a baby plant. And I just don't want to do that. I know this is kind of a shallow situation, but I do have the bulb in there already and I feel confident to do that. So I'm just going to do that. And to be quite honest, now I'm a little bit more confident when it comes to this particular plant. So what I'm actually going to do when I do make my clippings today with you guys is I'm just going to shove it into soil directly and not even put it in some kind of sponge contraption, because I feel like it's just going to be easier then. And what I'm probably just going to do is after 3 months, which technically that's usually how long it takes, about 3 to 4 months, you get like a decent root system in any propagation. From what I've noticed with jade, it's about 3 to 4 months. With the ZZ is also about 3 to 4 months. And now you got, or I got a ton of space, and when I water, that's just gonna sink down. So what I want to do is not make a mess and add more soil in there, just that right there. And I usually just don't compact it. After I water it a few times, most of the time the soil is gonna sink down, which is normal. So what I'm just gonna do is add more soil then. But for now, everything is just doing beautifully fine. So we'll just stick to that. And she is just gonna sit next to a not very well lit window, but we'll have some extra artificial light to support that when for a few hours in a day. So this is what she's gonna be. I will be watering her. I will do that a little bit later. I will water her in a bit. I just need to clear this out a bit. Let me just go ahead and do that. I almost forgot to add, I'm gonna add this, which is some worm castings. And that's weird. Something's growing in my worm castings. I'm gonna add a little bit here in the top. And it said it's from everywhere I read, if you're gonna add, like, when you're transplanting, it's really great to add that. And also for maintenance, it's also great to do it like every 2 months. So that's what I'm planning to do. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I already have a pre-mixed solution of when I am first transplanting, or I already have like a pre-mixed water with some supplements in there. And so I'm just gonna water her a little bit right here, just to kind of, she knows that there's moisture coming through, and that kind of would help her roots grow, and hopefully she acclimates well. So that's it. And so now I'm gonna set her aside over here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut some growth from my ZZ since then. She's actually gotten a little bit bushier than before, and you're not gonna see a whole lot, but I'm just gonna do some cuttings here, which is what I did the last time. I'm just gonna do some clippings, and I'm gonna put it in the cup right here. So in that cup, and I'm not cutting it in a specific way. And this is the beauty of a ZZ plant, is they are very, very easy to propagate supposedly. And from my very minimal experience, I would definitely agree to that. So I do have some new growth from my ZZ, And I'm just pretty much trimming off the smaller growth. And so what I'm gonna do now is, so here we go. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to pour the Hormex in here, and it's supposed to be for 5 minutes. So while I'm waiting for 5 minutes to hit, I'm just going to speed this up a little bit and kind of clean some of the clutter a little bit, just so it would be easier once 5 minutes hit, and you guys can see what I do after that. All right, so it has been 5 minutes. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use my root powder. A lot of people use either or. I like to do both because I'm not really a gambler. And for me, I just really wanna do it that way. It has worked for me in the past, so I just dip it. And I'm just gonna shove it in like that. Shove it in. That should be fine right there. This has worked for me this way to propagate. Whatever I have propagated has just been successfully, has just been this way. If I just did it with the water propagation, it doesn't really work for me. And I don't know if it's because I can't use both of my root hormone or just the one. And so that's probably why I was not successful. That's just my theory. It feels like this pot is a little too small, so I'm probably going to get a bigger pot for it. All right, so I'm thinking I'm gonna use this other pot that I have. I keep all of my grower pots for a while now, and I've just realized how useful it is, truly, because I like to propagate now. Ever since I've successfully propagated my husband's jade, and this was by accident, it was due to desperation. I've been very, very interested in propagating my ZZ. I have tried with my snake plant. I was unsuccessful, and I think I was unsuccessful because I did it in water. What else have I tried to propagate? I've also tried to propagate an anthurium, Diffenbacha. I've tried to propagate a few other plants and they just didn't work out. And I feel like when I did it in water, it just didn't work out. I've tried to propagate a lot of other plants too. If you've seen my other plant vlogs, I mean, I've tried a few other things and they just didn't work out. And the common denominator is it was in water. And also I didn't use 2 rooting hormones. I only used the 1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to water with the supplement that I will, it's all linked down below, and also how much the dose, so you guys know what I'm using. So what I need to do is just to make sure this is moist on the top at all times, just because it doesn't really have a good root system yet. And that's just what I do. I check it like twice a week. And if I have to, water it 1 to 2 times a week. Not a lot. Just make sure that it's going to get some water because, again, there's no root system yet. And what you're trying to do is encourage root growth. I'm sorry. So that's all you need to do. It needs to be like moist at all times. It cannot dry out at all. When you let it dry out, from what I've noticed from my other failures of propagation, they died. They just didn't work out. They just rotted or died or something like that. So just be aware from that, and hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes as I did, because I would prefer everybody who wants to propagate actually propagates it successfully through their first time and all that. So what I've noticed with my jade, I've successfully done, because there were a few times that I propagated other things that they died, and the only problem with the only difference was it was not watered quick enough. Like, I let it dry too much. So don't make it dry in the top. Make sure it's moist in the top. This actually needs to water, but I am actually going to move this, and I don't want to move it with extra water in the saucer. So this is my current propagation project. I do not have any other propagation projects currently, but that can change rather quickly if so. So this is the ZZ plant. This is the second batch that I'm going to propagate. I'm hoping by the time this grow roots, I can propagate again from the mother plant. I'm just hoping that with the mother plant, I just want it to keep growing and be taller and bushier. And I want to grow my own and have my own pot to grow it and have more ZZs. I really, really love this plant. It's a plant that if you are starting out with houseplants, this is something that a must have because it can survive in any light settings. The more growth you get is the more light it gets, obviously. And of course, the more light it gets, the more often you might need to water. I use, for this one right now, I'm using like regular potting soil because there are no roots. And this is going to be the first time I'm going to use it with that. When these start to have roots in probably a couple of months or 3 months, I'm going to switch it to cactus soil. But for right now, I'm going to stick it to that. Usually my established ZZ usually is in cactus soil. But so far I'm really loving the potting soil that I do have. So I'm going to try and test that out and see if everything works out great. And then of course I'm going to update you guys whenever I can. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys again next time. And of course, if there's anything that you've seen that I was using, they're all going to be in the description section, including the dose. And if there's something, that I didn't mention, let me know down below. I'm going to answer you as much as I can, but I do try to put as much information as I can in all my videos. I hope you enjoy my video. You can hit the like button if you haven't yet to subscribe, and of course the bell so you're notified every single time I do upload a new video. Anything else you want to talk about, propagation, gardening, plants, house plants, outdoor plants, let me know down below. I love chit-chatting about that. All of my social media accounts are in the description section as well, so do check that out. Thanks guys. I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.